Okay, so you guys are welcome. This is Darko Lab, and today we are looking at exception handling. Okay, remember in our previous session we looked at file handling, where we understood how we can read and write and do so many operations, and also looking for the file path and all that. But today we are looking at a different concept which we call what exception handling. And in exception handling, we need to be able to catch any exceptions and we use the try and then the except method or keywords. So what you need to understand with the exception handling is all about you trying to catch any errors in your program. Okay, so the code that you write, you need to be able to catch certain errors so that whatever the person is doing or the program is doing, you're able to catch these errors correctly and all that. So we look into it and then you guys will see how amazing you can write your programs with exception handlings and all that. So I'll create my folder, say exception, okay. Oh, I'm writing all in caps, sorry. Exception, okay, underscore handling. All right. Now inside this folder, let me create a notebook, okay. So a new file, and then I'll say exception.ipyn, okay. Now we have this notebook, and all that I need to do is come to the select kernel, pick my virtual environment we created already. If you don't know this, you can go and look in my previous videos on YouTube. All these things are there for you to be able to understand how you can create it. Okay, guys. All right. Now we are looking at exception handling. So what I'm saying here is that, let me minimize this. Good. So what I'm saying is that exception handling. So let's try to understand. Okay, understanding exception. Understanding exception. Okay. Now with exception handling is basically, so I can look into the screen well. So exception handling, right? Exception handling is basically how you are allowed to handle some kind of errors in your code. Okay, so in your code you need to handle certain errors. And how do you handle these things? With the help of try and except and also catching certain errors, you would be able to handle these kind of exceptions. So exception is basically I don't really like doing the theory aspect, but let me give you some kind of definition so we are clear on how this works. So let's say exception handling, okay, in Python allows you to handle errors, okay, allows you to handle errors gracefully and take corrective actions, okay. So it's without stopping, so without stopping the execution of the program. So what we are saying is that exception handling, okay, exception handling in Python allows you to handle errors gracefully and take corrective actions without stopping the execution of the program, which means that once you're able to handle exception, you are able to go on with the program and you don't stop the program's execution. Okay, all right. Now what we need to also understand is that let me make this definition correct. So another one we need to understand is that exception are events, okay. So they are events that disrupts the normal flow, of a program. So they are events that disrupt the normal flow of a program. So basically, if you have an exception, you're trying to catch certain errors, then of course you're going to disrupt the normal flow of the program, because once it catches this exception are cut, then the flow of the program changes. You understand? All right. And you need to understand that they occur Okay, they occur when an error, okay, is encountered. So you get a difference here. So we are saying that they occur when an error, sorry, let me give a space here. So they occur when an error is encountered. Okay, and then the next one is when an error is encountered. No, let me add it to this. When an error is encountered during the program execution. Okay, so I'm saying that exception handling, understand exceptions is simple. Exception handling in Python allows you to handle errors gracefully and take corrective actions without stopping the execution of the program. Exceptions are events that disrupt the normal flow of a program. They occur when an error is encountered during the program what? Execution. Okay? Alright. Now, let's look at some concepts, okay? Concepts, or let me say, no, let me use this. So let's say common exceptions, okay? Common exceptions, okay? So let's look at some common exceptions. Now, some common exceptions are that one, we could have, we have what we call zero division. Zero division. I just want to be remembering these things, right, guys? We have zero division error, okay? So we have zero division error, and basically this is just dividing by zero. So we check this error. We have another one which is far not found error. Far not found error, and we check this, which basically means what? A far not what found. You see? And we have another one which is there's anyone at the comment section? Another one which is value error. Okay, value error, and then value error is basically an invalid what error, or invalid value, sorry. And we have another one which is also we have another one, type error. Yes, type error. You guys remember when we were doing, I think, some basis of Python, we did handle type error. So this is also an invalid type. Okay, invalid, sorry, invalid. Okay, invalid type. All right, now let me run this, check this one. Let me reduce the screen a bit. Now what I'm saying here is that we want to understand exceptions, okay? And in exceptions, exception handling in Python allows you to handle errors gracefully and take corrective actions without stopping the execution of the program. Now, in exception, we have two conditions you guys need to understand. We have exceptions are events that disrupt the normal flow of a program. And also, they occur when an error is encountered during the program execution. So they occur when an error is encountered. And they are also what, an event that disrupts what? The normal flow of what? A program. Now we are saying that we have some common exceptions, and more of them are what? Zero division error, which basically is we dividing by zero. Okay, so let me make these ones capital for you guys, so I can do something like this. Zero division error. Okay, so we can use it. Far not found, not is capital, not found. Okay, and then this one is value error, and this one is type error. You see? So now what I'm saying is that we have zero division error, and it's basically we dividing by zero. We have file not found error, which is basically file not found. So if you want to catch an exception or an error where if you run the program, you are catching when a file is not found. Okay, so based on the program or based on the problem you are trying to solve, if let's say for instance you have a data set like this, okay? Let's say we have a data set here in here. So let's say this data set, we want to read the information in this data set, but because for you to be able to read the information on this data set, you need to get the location, right? And sometimes you can catch this with what? File not found. So that if the location that this file is not there or doesn't exist, then we can catch this error. You get a concept? All right. So basically, we have so many ways. We also have value error, invalid value. We also have type error, which is the type of what we are trying to code is invalid. So we are going to look at all these things, and then you guys will be able to understand how we can use exception to handle these cases. All right. Okay. So let's code. Now let's look at how we can, let's say, exception. Or why am I typing in caps? Come on. Exception, try, accept, okay. Oh, what am I doing today? So exception, try, accept, block. Okay. Now what we need to understand is that for us to be able to catch any error, we call something try, accept. These are keywords we use, try, and then we accept. Okay. So these are the two keywords. If you want to catch an exception or you want to catch an error, your error or your code is here, then you catch the exceptions. So basically we use these two keywords, try and then accept. Going forward, we'll see more keywords, okay? But for now, let's concentrate on the try and then the accept, okay? Now, assuming, let's say we have this. Let me come up here. If I run A is equal to 10, okay? And I run. You see, this code is correct, right? We will run successfully. But if I say A is equal to B and I run this, you see, we get what? Name B is not defined. You see, name B is what? Not defined. So you see, the user or someone who doesn't understand this code will not be able to understand this error. You get the logic? So how do you handle this error in a more proper way so that anyone who runs your program or your software and all that, or your platform, the person will be able to handle these kind of what, or understand these kind of what, errors. You get the logic? So what you need to understand is that, okay, we are trying to catch an error. So how do we catch errors like this? So let's come here. So assuming we have A is equal to B, okay? Sorry, I need to do proper indentation. So we have A is equal to B. See, I've brought that here, that same thing we did here. Now it's inside this, okay? Here we are saying that try. This is the program, the code. We are trying to, once you bring the try, it means you want to catch any error within this program or this code, okay? So now this try, except, okay? Except means that if there is no error, then or if you catch the error, then you will say print into bracket. What do we print? We just say that the variable has not been defined. So you see that here we will show this sentence to the user or to the person who doesn't understand when we did something like this here. When we did something like this and we ran, you see, we saw error. Name B is not defined, but that person will not understand this entire thing. He's not like you, the coder or the programmer, right? So what you need to understand is we need to use try and accept to catch this particular error. And all that we can do here is write something like this, and when we run, you'll be able to see that the variable has not been defined. So automatically it tells the person that, okay, I need to define the variable. I need to define the variable. You get a logic? But if I run something like this, 10, there will not be any such thing. So let's see. You see, we are good to go. So I can come here and I'll say else, then I'll say executed. I can say else print the variable is defined. You see, so we can say this. So you see, the variable is defined. That's why, so this is correct. You get the logic here? So we can catch error with this. But once I put here and I do something like this, B, and I run, the variable has not been defined. You see how the program logic is? So you need to understand these concepts. Okay? Alright. Now let's look at another one. So now, let's look at another one where we can catch the name error. This name error. Where is it? Yeah, we have another one which is name error. So this is basically a name error. You see, this was a name error. So let's look at another way we can catch this name error. Okay? So we can say try into bracket. Let's do the same thing. A is equal to B. Now, we come here, we accept it. We catch the exception. Alright? Now, instead of we catching exception here, what we are going to do is, instead of we doing just this, writing something like this, okay, we will catch this name error. This is a class in Python, okay. So this is the name error. We'll just copy this name error here, except this name error. You see, as then we assign this name error to an object. Don't worry about classes, okay. We will get there tomorrow. But what I want you guys to understand is, we can catch this entire error doing something like this also, and this is more professional than this. Okay, so let's see. Try A is equal to B, except then we use the name error. Now we know that any exception we catch here or error we catch here is going to be a name error. So how do I do it? I would definitely, that's why I showed you here. You see? So I'm definitely going to use the name error class, which is in Python. So I just copy the name error here. So I'll say except name error as what? So as what? We are going to make it as an object. Okay, because this is a class. So what will be the object? So the object will, let's say, ex. You see the concept here? But don't worry guys, I'll teach you object oriented programming tomorrow. We are starting with classes and objects. So you see, I cut the exception from this class name error, and then based on the name error, I set it to what? An object, which is ex. It can be any name based on what you are doing. Okay, so I set it this object, and all that I need to do is just print the object, isn't it? Ex. So now let's run again. You see, name B is not defined. So here you see that it directly gives you the what is not defined. You see the difference from this? The variable has not. So here you are not able to understand which variable is it, A or is it B? Is it A or B? Like what is the program trying to tell me? But if you want to get more understanding, then you have to use this particular class, the name error class. So you see, I try to catch the error, try to cut the error, and the error, this is the exception I'm handling here. So this basically tells you that you are trying to handle name error exception. There are so many exceptions. Remember, I put them here for you. There are so many exceptions we can handle. But currently we are handling what? Name error exception. And with name error exception, in this code, all that I'm doing is that I am telling the program that I have A is equal to B as my program. Now try and catch any error in this program for me, and with the exception of what? Name error. And now I want to see the error. Because I want to see the error, I need to assign this entire exception, okay, as an object. That is why I'm using the as ex. This one, the ES can be any name, okay? This ES can be any name. But always make sure that for proper programming, make sure it goes according to what you are trying to do. Okay, guys? And now, because I want to see it here, I just use the print inbuilt function to execute and see the real error I'm catching. You see? So I'm saying that try A is equal to B, except name error as ex, print ex. Then once I run, it will say name B is not defined. So you see that here, we are more specific on the error. But you saw the previous one, we didn't know, is it B or A? We didn't know where is the error, which variable have we not defined? Okay, guys, so let's try to understand these concepts. All right, now let's look at another one. Let's look at how we can handle zero division error. So this is a practical example I want you guys to understand, because when you write a program, you need to catch these errors, and you need to, this is for proper programming, and this is when you want users to know that no, you've not defined something and all that. You understand? Let's look at another one. Let's say we try, okay, let's catch anything. Let's say 1 divided by 0. Okay, is it possible? No. So let's say result, okay, is equal to 1 divided by 0. Now, if you are saying that result is equal to what? 1 divided by 0, let's try and catch this exception. And all that we can do is just use the except. Okay, except this one. And now, I don't want you to do something like this, except then you come and print. No, I want you to use the main class. So what is the class of this? A zero division error. So you just use this class here. So it's going to be zero division error. You see, it's a class. You see, the moment it turns into this color, it tells you it's a class. Okay, so except zero division error, because I'm going to divide a particular number by 0, and I want to catch any exception. And now I'm saying that except zero division error, what do? I need to set it to an object, because this is a class. Remember this thing always. Don't worry. Also, I'll teach you object-oriented programming tomorrow, but I want you to understand that this is a class, and once it's a class, I want to get something, so I need to assign it to an object. So I'll say as, and what do I say? Let's say ex again. Okay, and with this ex, because it's an object I assign to, I can always print it by ex. You see? And now when I run this, let's first run this and see something. You see, division by 0. You see, so I'm not getting anything. But let's add another print. Let's say let's say please enter the denominator. Okay, enter the denominator greater than 0. So here, this message is going to tell the user that, okay, what you entered, you need to enter the denominator which is greater than what? 0. Okay, so the denominator which is 0 here should be greater than what? 0. This one, which is the denominator. So this is the 1 is the numerator, and then the 0 is the denominator. Now we are saying that when we catch the error, we will tell the person that please enter the denominator greater than 0, which basically means that 0, the division needs to be what? More than 0, which 1, 2, 3, 4. You understand? So let's run again. So you see, we've catched a zero division error, which we are saying that division by 0, because we printed the exception. We can remove the exception, and then we say that please enter the denominator greater than 0. So it means there's an error here, right? There's an error here. But let's say I do something like this. Let's say I do something like this. Okay, let me copy the same code, or you let me copy. Let's say I do something. What if I do something like this? Try, and let's use the same result. Okay, it's equal to 1 divided by 2. You know, previously we said 1 divided by 0. But let's say try, result is equal to 1 divided by 2, right? And now I catch it. Let's catch it. Okay, in catching we are going to use what? Zero division. All right, zero division error. Okay, and this is a class, so don't forget as what? Ex. So since it's a class, we assign it to an object. Now, except zero division error. Now we are going to catch it. So what do we catch? We still print ex just to know what error we are handling. Then we print. So what we are going to print is the same thing here. So let me copy this entire sentence here. Okay, so I'll paste it here. Now, what I'm going to do is that When I run this, let's see how the program goes. You see, it's successful. But previously, it tells us that there's a division by zero error, and place you need to enter the denominator which is greater than zero. You get it? But now we are getting this running successfully because the denominator here is 2, which is greater than what? 0. Now let's see another one. Let's say, assuming I put here a is equal to b, okay, and then I come here. So let's run this. So you see, I'm getting name error. Name b is not defined. But how do I handle this? Now you can see I have 2 conditions or 2 codes in my program. How do I handle this error? And it's simple. You need to come down here. This becomes a main error, okay? So you don't handle main error here at the beginning. You handle it at the end. So all that I will do is I'll come here and I'll catch another exception. This is a different exception. You see, we catch this exception, we catch another exception here. So all that I'll come here and I'll say what? Sorry, except. Okay, and this is going to be what? What is it? It's an exception, name error exception. But instead of me using name error, I will just use the exception so I can capture because it's part of this. So it's going to be a main error. So I will say except, then I'll say what? Exception, which is also a class in Python. Okay, guys? So exception as what? Because when we run the entire program, we will exit. So I'll just make an object for it. So let's say exit. Okay, like this. Hey, sorry, ex. So let's say 1. You see, so I create the object. So this one is ex. It doesn't have to be the same. So that's why I'm saying ex1. Now, all that I need to do is come here and then I'll print the same thing, ex1, okay, and print what? Inside my print, I will just use what? Main exception got caught here. So I'll say main exception. That's what I'm telling you, that this will be the main exception here. So because when we run this, it will handle everything here and checks the 0 exception and also main exception. And then we are saying that main exception, let me put in a double quotation because it's a string. So main exception got caught here. You see? So when we run this program, we are going to see 2 different things. We are going to see name b is not defined because name b is not defined. You get it? And we are also going to see another one which will tell you that main exception got caught here. And this is the main exception which will got caught here. So let's run it again. You see, name b is not defined, which is true. Name b is not defined. So we caught this one error. Main exception got caught here. So this was the exception we used to catch this error. You get a logic? This was the exception. This was the exception we used to catch this error. Name b is not defined. Alright guys, so it's very clear. So you see how we handle this and how we handle this. All you need is just understand these classes, and you don't need to chew them. There are libraries there you can visit. You can go to W3 School here. Okay, you can look for so many inbuilt functions, keywords, exceptions. So you see, when I go to exceptions, I'm able to see all these things. You see arithmetic error. So you see arithmetic error. I'm able to see all these what? You see the 0 division error here. Raised when the second operator in a division is 0. You see the concept? So value error raised when there is a wrong value in a specified data. So all that you need to understand is you just need to understand how we use these things. And I'm saying that always when you use the exception or the class, you need to create it as an object. That's why you're seeing me doing ex. And here I'm doing ex1, okay? So I can use this object anywhere. Get a logic? So try to understand, and you can read more on this here, okay? You can go to W3 School and then try to go to Python exceptions and read most of the exceptions, and you can do more practice on this, okay? Now let's run a program. Let's try to do a program where we accept something, okay? And catch the error, okay? So let's say try. What are we trying? So let's say number is equal to let's catch an input. Okay, so let's say integer, inbuilt integer, and inside the inbuilt integer, let's say we are going to get an input. So we use the input inbuilt function and raise exception as well of expecting a particular one. Oh, I don't understand. Sorry, but can you please reframe your question? So now I'm capturing an error and I'm saying that with this error I'm going to accept an input, and I'm saying that the variable is what? Num, and this number, it means someone is going to enter a number, and since I'm going to make it a number, I'm getting only integer numbers. That's why I use the int. And now inside this integer inbuilt function, so this is how it is first. It's like this. Okay, don't be confused. Inside this integer inbuilt function, I want to accept an input. So I'm going to use the input inbuilt function like this. Okay? And now inside the input, I'm just basically going to say enter a number. Okay? Now, all that I'm going to do is enter a number, right? So once the person enters the number, what do? The number result, okay, will be equal to what? 10 divided by the number that the person will enter. This is my program. Now, how do I catch any error here? So you see the concept, guys, about exception handling. Now we need to be able to catch any error in terms of the number the person will enter. So let's say I'm accepting integer, but the person enters a floating number, or the person enters a string. We need to catch this error. So let's see how we catch it. Okay, that's the whole concept. So we come here, except. Except. In except, what do? Because I don't want to run it below, print anything, I'll come here and use the class. So except what? What are we catching? Now, this becomes a value. You know, someone is going to enter a number. So automatically we are going to have a value error. So I'll come here and say value error. Okay, as what? We can set it as an object, or we can leave it because we are only capturing value error. That's why previous you saw here we catch exception and all that. But here, except value error, we can keep it like this and then come below it like this, and we can print it. What value are we capturing? This is not a valid number. So we can say this is not a valid number. You see? So here we say try this program and catch any exception when it comes to value error, which automatically when the person enters a value here. Now we are trying to catch an error in terms of value. How do we log these errors? We are not yet there, so no rush. Okay, all right. So now we catch these things. When we get to where you'll be able to log errors, you get all these concepts. Okay, I have structured the training session so well, so you understand all these things. Okay, all right. We have it here, logging in Python. Okay, so don't worry, I'll teach you. This is a free AI bootcamp. We are not rushing. We are taking our time to teach things. All right. So now we are capturing the error here. Except value error. Print, this is not a valid number. You see? So now what I need to do here is I need to catch another exception. And what would that exception be? Yes, who can type in the comment section for me? What would that exception that I want to catch again be? So let's say except. So what would the second exception that we need to handle be? So I know you guys understand. What is the next exception going to be? First, the person will enter a number, and with this number, so automatically we need to capture what? Or catch value error. Any value error, we capture it here. Now this value error, we need to make sure that we get the correct number. If we don't get an integer number here, then we catch this error. Now what do you guys think will be the next exception for us? Zero division. Yes, all of you who wrote zero division, zero, yes, you are correct. So we are going to capture what? Zero division error. Zero division error. You see? And here The same thing. Then when we come here, we just say print. So what are we printing? Oh, sorry. So let's say enter denominator greater than 0. Yes, so let's do the same thing. Enter denominator greater than 0. You see? So now we've captured this also, which the person has to enter a denominator which is greater than 0. Good. Now, what will be our last exception? Yes, guys, at the comment section. Exception. Except. So what will be our last one to capture? Yes, at the comment section. What will be our last one to capture? What will be the last one to capture? Now we've captured value error. We've captured 0 division error. So what will be the last one? Type division, space, type error. What type? What type is it? It's a good thing. So we capture all of them with what? Exception, which will be the main exception. Okay? And we make it as an object so we can capture everything within the exception. So exception as what? EX. Oh, sorry. EX. And then we can print any exception other. You see? So aside this two, any other exception, we handle it here. You get the logic? Aside these two, because this is our main focus, the correct value and also the denominator. And anything out of this, we use the exception. You get the logic here? Else in your program, you'll be writing all the exception like constraints or whatever. You get it? So this is the two main exceptions we need to handle in our program. Once we know the main exceptions we need to handle, the rest goes here. And when we run this, okay, and I come here, okay, and I enter, let's say 23, okay, and I press enter. Now 23 will come and run into this program, and 23 it will first check value error. Is it a value error? If not, it goes to this. No, then it goes to this. Then we can get it. So let's see. Let's press enter. So you see the program is correct. Now let's run again. Let's enter 0. Okay, let's press enter. You see, enter denominator greater than 0. You see, let's run again. Let's enter 0 again. I want to show you something. So you see, this thing makes it clear to the person who doesn't understand this. You get the logic. So you catch these errors and tell the person you need to enter denominator which is greater than what? 0. You get a concept? You see the concept? Yes, you use exception. That's what I explained here. You use exception. The main thing is the program logic. You capture the main logics for exceptions. And when you check this program, someone will enter a value and there has to be a proper division. So that's why we are handling value error and also division error. And once we are done, we can capture any other exception. So let's see another one. Let's run the program. Let me enter 2.3. Okay, enter. This is not a valid number. You see? So the value error captures it. You see? Because we set here integer. So we are looking for only integer numbers. 2, 3, 4, 5, not floating numbers. You get a concept. Let's run again. Let's come here. Let's make it Dennis. Okay, let's make it Dennis. Let's see the program. So you see, it's telling us still this is not a valid number. Okay, so we can even go ahead and say you need the program does not accept string number. Like you understand. So depending on the problem you are trying to solve, you can do most of these things. And we can also go ahead and say let's say let's say 4.5. Okay, 4.5. Now this is not a valid number. Okay, now you see the program stops running is because of this exception. It handles everything, all the exceptions, and also stops the program executing and all that. You see? All right. syntax. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you can catch all these things. So there are so many things you can do when you come here. Okay, read more on these things. Okay, there are a lot. It's not everything that I can set for you guys here. You understand? So there are so many error exceptions here you can use to handle these things. Okay, all right. So this is basically our focus, to understand this. So once you understand the objective and you understand how these things works, then you do more practice on using different classes of exceptions. And that's what I'm telling you guys. When you go to W3 Python exceptions, you can get most of these things. If you have key error, so you know what it does. We have all these things. The type error, race when two different types are combined. You see, we have so many errors. You can go to next. You see so many things. You see all of them are variable names, how to name your variable, all these floats, the floating number type, you see, int, the integer number type. So depending on what you want to do, you can you can use all these classes to do it. Okay? Alright. Let's look at what else? Let's look at something. I want to also do something. Let's copy this entire thing. Okay, and let's say I come here and I paste this. So let's say this same thing, but here we use the zero division, and then we can say let's set another one. Let's say here, let's change this to, instead of zero division, let's say something like this. You can't divide by 0. Okay, now if I come here, I said accept exceptions as ex, print ex. Okay, I can also go ahead and say that, okay, then let's complete it. Okay, I will say else, what do I print? Then I'll print, so I'll bring my f, sorry, inside. I'll say the result. Okay, the result is, then I'll bring this one. The result is what? Result. This one, so I can get a result. Okay, I want to get a result. Then that's it. So now let's run the program again. Let's run this. Can we use exception class straightforward since it can handle, or can we use exception class straightforward? No, sometimes you need to have a proper programming. That's what I'm saying, that first catch your the logic first, okay, value error and all that before, because you'll be having so many program or codes here, and you need to make the program be specific on certain errors you are capturing. Okay, aside that, you catch those errors, then you can set the exception here. Okay, all right. Now let's enter a number. Let's say 0. Enter. You see, you can't divide by 0, right? Now let's say we entered 5. The result is 2 points. So let me give a space here. Let's run again. Let's say we entered 5. Enter. So you see now, with the help of this else print blah blah blah, we are able to get what? The result is 2.0, because 10 divided by 5, we entered 5, right? So let's run again. Here, 5. Enter. The result is 2.0. So you see, so automatically we are getting what? With the help of this, we are not getting, so the program runs through, there was no value error, no zero division error, no exception, and then we got what? We printed this, which is the result is 2.0. You see? Alright. And now we can run again, run. Let's say we entered 4.5 or 6. Enter. This is not a valid number. See, so we are just trying to cut these things, and I encourage you guys to read more on these exceptions. Okay, and it's very simple. You can take like 30 minutes, go to Python exceptions. Here on Python exceptions, you can read more about this and what each does, syntax error, and then try to use these examples to, you can add another code here, syntax error, then you use that exception, and when you come and copy it here, and then you'll be able to what? Try your hands on all these, like how we are using 0 and value errors and all that. Okay, because we are recording, like, it will take more time if you want to do more practice. Okay, all right. Now let's look at another one. Now we call another one which is final. Let me copy this here. Okay, this same thing, we are not doing anything, but what we are going to, you see, we got this. When we run this, okay, we got something like this, and we also, when we enter the right number, we got the result. So let me run this again. Enter 4, enter. We got what? The result is 2.5, right? Which the code runs up to here. But we need to make sure that our program is complete. You understand? We need to make sure the program is complete, and it's very simple. We are using the same code here, okay? So now we try this program, we catch any error using these exceptions, okay? And the last exception. Now this else will get us the result if there are no exceptions here, okay? Now what we need to also do is that we call something finally, okay? We need to catch, or we need to make sure, we need to make sure we print or we execute the program completely. We need to make sure the program was executed completely, and all that we need to do is use this keyword called finally, which tells the computer that, okay, we have completed the execution of what? The program. So when I come here, all that I will do, I will say print, and then inside I will just say execution complete. Okay, so when I run this again and I come here and I enter 3.2 or 4, enter, I catch the exception. This is not a valid number. Execution complete. You see? Again, let's run again. When I enter the proper number, let's say 8, enter, the result is 1.25. Execution complete. You see? So sometimes make sure that you're specific on your program, you make the program complete and all that. Okay? Alright. Let's look at one last aspect. Okay? Let's look at one last aspect. Then if you have any question, you can request. So let's say we want to file handling. Okay, let's look at how, now you know file handling. You know this file handling we learned this whole week. Let's look at file handling and exception handling. Okay, so now file handling and exception handling. Let's look at how we can do this. All right, so let's see something. We can try any code. So let's say open inbuilt function. Let's open a particular file. Let's read from a particular file. Let me see if you have data here. We don't have anything here. Let's see this. Okay, we have a data here. Good. So let's read from this example.txt. Okay, so let's say open. So what are we reading? Example.txt. You remember this? So guys, now let me use, sorry, this example.txt. Okay, you remember this command. Then we bring the mode. So our mode is going to be what? Reading mode. So we are going to read. Now let me assign this entire thing. Remember I told you we can say as this, but proper, another way we can do is we can say file is equal to open. Okay, we can say file is equal to open, or we can say as file. Anyhow you do it is good. Okay, but let's make it this one so we are good to go. Now file is equal to open into bracket example.txt. This example.txt, this one, example.txt. Now comma, I'm reading this file. Okay, we have some data there. I want to read. Now in reading, I get the file dot read. You remember all this, we learned it. Okay, I read the file with the read inbuilt function. Now let me set this entire reading to a variable called what? Let's say the content, because I'm going to read the content of the example.txt file. So I will say content. Okay, sorry, content is equal to this. Now I have a file example.txt I want to read. So the mode is what? Read. Now with this file, I'm using the inbuilt function called open, and this entire thing I'm assigning to an object or a variable called file. I can do something like this as file and then remove this here. Okay, remove this, and then instead of this, I will not do this. I will not do this. You see, I can do this, which is also correct. But the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to catch exceptions. So let's check something. Okay, equal to. Let me remove the E. Alright. Now, this is also good. If you do it like that, any way you do it, it's okay. Now, what I'm saying is that we are trying to catch any error in this reading aspect. Now, what we are going to do is, let's print, okay? Let's print the content. Because we assign it to a variable. Yes, so we need to print it. Alright. Now, what we are going to do next is, let's catch these exceptions, okay? So let me come here, except, what are we catching? First one is going to be any file not found, because it's a file. You see the logic here? Because it's a file, we are going to catch what? File not found. File not found. Okay, file not found what? Error. You see? You see, guys? Then I will just print print the file does not exist. You see? So now the file does not exist. So try and run this code. When you run this code, check any exceptions or handle any exceptions. And the first exception I want you to handle is file not found, because we are dealing with file. You want to see the file is here, and if it's not here, then the code will catch this exception or this error. Okay? Now, let's catch another one. Except, what are we going to catch? And we don't have anything to catch. It's just a file. So let's complete it with what? Exception. You see? Exception as what? EX. Now, when I come here, I can print EX. You see? I can print EX. And now, what do I need to do? Finally, I can complete it. So finally, and what do I do? I can say that finally, I can say that if the file, okay, you see what I'm doing it? I'll explain to you guys. If the file in the local directory, in locals, okay, this is also one of the inbuilt functions. That's why I told you the last time, try and read more on this. If file in locals, okay, or is not in local, so it's not file dot, then we close it. It's more like when we have a database connection where we open to get a connection, and once we get a connection, we close it. And what I'm trying to do here is that, let me bring my column. What I'm trying to do here is that we just get a file dot close, okay, and then we come here, then we can print the file. I will explain, don't worry. File close. Now, all that we are doing here is that we are trying to run a program that reads a particular file, okay, and the file is example.txt. We read it. Now we read, and this entire thing, we store it here with this object or variable. Now, and we use the read inbuilt function, to read this entire file. Then we store everything in this content. Then we print the content. Now we could have ended here. We could have ended here, remove the try, and run our program. Isn't it? Good. But we say we want to, do you prefer today or tomorrow? I will be booking a session with you. You can go there, I have all my timings and all that. Okay? Yeah, thank you so much. I have my timings and all that, so everything has been set up. So you just have to book. So you don't need to ask me here, okay? When you decide to book, when you click on the link to book, it tells you my availability and all that. So don't worry, okay? Alright, so try. So we are running this, and I'm saying that we could have decided to not even remove this, okay, and have only this code, which will not be proper programming. We need to catch errors. That's why we are using this. So we are saying that except this, the file does not exist. Except any exception other than this. Then finally, we want to complete the program. You saw how I completed this simple way, but you are seeing how I'm completing the program now. I am complete because I don't want to have the file opened. Anyone can enter. If the file is open, a hacker can even enter the file and get all any other sensitive information that the hacker needs to get. That is why I'm trying to make you guys understand some logics whereby I need to close the file. Once I read any information from the file with the mode, so this is a mode. Mode is equal to read. So this mode, once I read this file, I need to make sure, okay, I close it so that no hacker can go into this file and get any sensitive data. So that's why I was saying that it's more like you reading, getting database connections, and once you get a connections, you open the connection, you get a connection, you close it. That's it. All right, we'll be doing all these things, so don't worry. Now, so you see, finally, if the file is in our local directory, which is this, then we get it. We open, we get it, we open, we get this file in local directory. Or if it's not in that, we close it. We close our connection. So that's what you're saying, file.close, print file close, so that we will know that yes, we have read the file already and now it's closed. So let's run this program. So you see, the file does not exist. See, name file is not defined. Okay, so it means I'm doing something wrong somewhere. File, okay, so we have file here. So you see, so it's telling us that what? Name error, name file is not defined. So we are doing something wrong here. So file, open, example.txt, read, content, file.read, okay. Then, yep, then we run this, except file not found, error. The file does not exist, good. Except execution as ex, print ex, good. Finally, if file, okay, in locals. So if file is in locals or not in locals, then close the file. So file.close, okay. Then we say that file.close, print file.close. All right. So now let's say, assuming I put something here, I say A is equal to B. Let's see another thing. Okay, so we are still getting name file is not defined. Okay, so now I need to properly set this, right? So name file is not defined. You see, so we can catch name error as well. You see, so I can bring name error here, like how we did for this, and I'll capture it. You see, so I can just come here, capture. Oh, sorry, I can capture another exception here. Now say name error. Okay, then now say, so you see already we've captured this. This is correct for us because example.txt. Maybe I'm not getting the roots or something. Okay. So let me come here, guys. Just a second. Exception handling. Good. So I need to create the file here. It's in this folder. You see? That's why I'm getting the error. So let me come here. New example.txt. You see? Now let me just go and copy the content in this one, so we don't have to be typing. Okay. So let me copy this. All right. Now when I come inside, because I was getting it from this folder, so I need to get it from this. We need to have the file. Okay, so I save it correctly. Now let's run and see. So let me first remove this so we can, I'll show you the name error later. Let me remove this name error. Okay, so now let's run again. Now we should get this because we are handling this here. It's inside this exception handling, because remember the notebook we are using is what? Exception handling, which is inside this folder. This one is inside this folder. So I need to have the file.txt here in this folder. So that's why I have to come here and make sure I create the file here. Instead of first it was here. Alright, so now let's run. So when I run this, I shouldn't get error, I should get a message. You see? Watch my YouTube. So It has all the training session, file closed, which tells you that one, we've read this entire data set or file with using the mode. So this is mode is equal to read. It can be write, it can be write B, okay, it can be A, append. Remember, I showed you the difference in our previous sessions. You can watch the training sessions on my YouTube. Okay, I showed you that the A will help you to add to the data to another data already in the file. But when you use the W, it will overwrite it. Take note of this. But here we are using reading, so we don't have any problem. Okay, so that's our mode. Now, you see, when we run our program, you see, in this exception example, we have watched my YouTube videos. It has all the training sessions. Let's add another one. You are welcome to Darko Lab. Connect with us through our website, darkolab.com, or join our Discord channel. The link is in my bio. You see? So now let's save this. Let's go and read again. So let's run this, we read. So you see, we've been able to read the entire data or the information in that particular file, and we close it because it exists. So if the file is in locals, you see here previously the file doesn't exist because it was not in local. You see, when I cut this like this, okay, let me paste it here so I can paste it here. You see, now here when we run, we will get error because the file is not in our local directory. So let's run again. You see, the file does not exist. You see, the file does not exist. But the moment I say undo like this and I run again, you see, now I'm able to read the file. So these are some of the error handling and exception handling you need to understand in terms of reading files, catching errors in your program and in your code. Do we need to have file with a string? Yes. Okay, we need to have it with a string. That's why you are seeing it here. Okay, yeah, it's a good practice. Okay, Kritanka, yeah, it's a good practice. All right, now, so we are good to go. You can check if you want to check this true. So you can say if file in local. You know all these things. If file in locals, okay. I've taught you all this. If file in local, what do we do? Print is true, else no. Print is true. You see? So when I run this, it will tell me true. The file is in local. But if I cut this off and paste it here, okay, and I come back and run this. So you see, because I've already cut it off, if I run this here, you see, file does not exist. And if I run, I will say print true, else print false. You see, I can say this, so it's not here. So we can set the if conditions and everything properly, and we can get all these things that don't exist and blah blah blah. You see, so this was just a scenario. So all that you need to understand is, guys, this is how we handle exceptions. And you saw how we use the input aspect to enter numbers and handle these exceptions. These concepts are the same thing when you have on a web form, and then you are entering some information, and then they are checking what you are entering. You understand? And they are catching any error and any required fields you are not entering. If you enter as also, they capture those errors. For instance, when you go to Darko Lab website, okay, when you go to my website like this, I have the contact form. So on this contact form, you see, your name, blah blah blah. If I say send, you see, please fill out this form. This is a required field. But let's say if I enter a number like this, there's an error that will be captured. Okay, let's say, so it goes like that. But once you enter everything, it will capture that error for you. Okay, it's the same concept we are learning here. You see, the same concept we are trying to learn from there. So that's how it works. Okay. And thank you so much for today's session, and I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we are handling object-oriented programming, which is classes. But for now, if you have any question, don't hesitate. You can request and then ask. Thank you.